Some time ago, I was teaching a seminar on leadership and fundraising for mission, and I was in the midst of a section on American funding practices when a young African Bible school principal who was in the seminar raised his hand to get my attention. And this is what he said to me.
I get you, Americans. You have a little basket with a name on each one for all your expenses. Only money for that expense goes in, and the only money that comes out is in the name of that expense. We Africans have one big basket. All of our money goes into it, and we meet the expenses out of that one big basket. Let me tell you a story. I was walking down a dusty village road in Kenya towards a site where an orphanage was to be built. The missions pastor had just given $10,000 to the village pastor to cover the orphanage's cost of construction. Now, as they were walking along, an old man came up, begging some money from the village pastor. He took out his newly acquired wad of bills, peeled off a few, and gave them to the beggar. Whereupon, the missions pastor instantly exploded in anger and exclaimed, "How could you do that? That money was for the orphans." The village pastor answered, "I've known this man for years. What would you have me do? How could I not help him? God will provide." What do you say to that? For clearly, they both thought they were in the right.
It was a powerful question, and the answer lies in a few simple words, not from me, but from voices all over the world.
4 years ago, at the insistence of a number of missions and funding leaders from Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Middle East, and Western nations, a meeting was called to seek a solution to the worrisome problems they all were facing in the giving and receiving of God's money for God's work. They sought a process that could help God's servants work together in harmony, no matter what their role in the mission of God's kingdom was. They appointed a committee selected to represent all the factions. This committee commissioned an in-depth survey to seek out the issues that were creating the problem. People from around the world gave their answers. Months were spent understanding their responses and drafting a document that could be helpful. This document was then sent out for comments again around the world, and more than 800 comments were made, making this a more useful document. A few simple words, a new language of engagement emerged in the form of affirmations and agreements for effective giving and receiving of money in mission. And this brings the missions pastor and the village pastor together as equals in a communion of giving and receiving.